guys, it's Landon again. Welcome back to the channel. Well, Sword and Shield have been pretty good games so far at this point, and even with DLC on the way, we got even more of the region to explore. But with that, there's tons of Pokemon that we got to discover in this game that are new to the Galar region. But which one of these Pokemon are the best, you may ask? I'm going to share the 10 best Pokemon in my opinion from Pokemon Sword and Shield. If you guys agree with this list, leave a like down below. It really shows much appreciation for my videos, and I really appreciate it if you give a like. If you're new, hey, I'm Landon. Subscribe if you're new, and ring the bell so you know about my future posts. Without further ado, let's get into the countdown. Number 10 is Dracovish and Arctozolt. Now I know what you're wondering, how can two Pokemon be one spot? Well, it's kind of a tie between the two. For one, they're both technically kind of version exclusives because they're only fused from the two fossils found in the specific game. And I played Sword for my first playthrough, so Arctozolt ended up on my team at some point. So that's why Arctozolt is on this list. Dracovish is also on this list because I enjoy its design, and it's super powerful as many people have been talking about. Honestly, I think they won with the designs for the fossil Pokemon this generation, especially with the creativity of fusing different fossils together to create abominations, really. Number 9 is Applin. The reason I put Applin in the spot is because, well, it kind of represents its whole evolutionary line. And I didn't want to have another slot where two Pokemon tied, especially if they're technically the same Pokemon. So I put Applin here to represent the whole line, because I pretty much like the whole line. They somehow made an apple a Pokemon, and people love it. I don't know about you guys, but when I saw Applin the first time, I was a little iffy about it. But when I found out it was Dragon type, I knew I had to love it somehow. I really became attached to this Pokemon, and it's the quickest shiny I've gotten in Sword and Shield with only 8 hatches. Number 8 is Orbeetle. Orbeetle is the regional bug for this generation, and honestly, I think that they designed it pretty well. The whole evolutionary line looks like it came from outer space, and it further proves that point with its Gigantamax form, which looks like a giant UFO. The shiny colors for this whole line gives kind of a sort of a lilac or deep purple, and I honestly like the colors they chose for the shiny forms. Orbeetle ended up getting switched out on my team, but I really love this Pokemon, and I think that they really aced the design. Number 7 is Boltund. I really like this Pokemon's design. When Yamper was revealed, I knew I had to have it on my team, because Corgis are one of my favorite types of dogs. But when I found out that Yamper was getting an evolution, I really wanted to have it on my team. It's a good Pokemon to start off with, kind of like Manectric. Honestly, this powerful looking dog is still adorable, except for the shiny form. They could have done a little bit better with that one. Yamper's not too bad, but they could have done better on Yamper too. Number 6 is Grimmsnarl. When Impotem's evolutions were revealed, I could only think of one thing. These looked like villains from the Legend of Zelda series, which was hard for me not to name it Ganondorf when I added it to my team. So that's what I named it. For a Pokemon that's completely covered with hair, they actually came up with a pretty solid design for it, and I think it looks badass. And the fact that it's also fairy type is also pretty freaking cool. Being the first dark fairy type, I didn't imagine it to be something that looked like this. When you look at Grimmsnarl, you don't really see fairy type, but it's there, and it's pretty freaking cool. Number 5 is Inteleon. Back when the starters were revealed, I had a tie decision between Grookey and Sobble to choose for my starter for Sword and Shield. But after some peer pressure from Twitter, and a lot of thinking about my decision, I decided to choose Sobble. But when the evolutions were leaked, I kind of wanted to change my decision. Well, Rillaboom looked better than Inteleon, but I didn't know if I really wanted to pick Grookey. I decided to stick with my choice of Sobble, and honestly, I don't even regret it. I've become attached to Inteleon's design after having it on my team, and it's the first shiny I got in Sword and Shield because Sobble was my first shiny hunt. When the 3 Gigantamax forms of the starters were revealed during the Nintendo Direct, I saw Inteleon's Gigantamax, and I was thinking, wow, that's pretty cool how they made him look like a sniper for real now. But when I was told that his snipe tower is made out of his tail that just got super long, that's probably one of the coolest designs they've ever done for Pokemon, especially for a Gigantamax form. In reality, Inteleon's not that bad if you get used to him. People just mock his design because of how skinny he is, but honestly, I don't mind his design. Number 4 is Corviknight. When Corviknight was revealed at one of the earliest Pokemon reveals, as did everyone, I became pretty attached to the way it looked. It's a badass looking night bird. Like, have you ever seen a bird dressed in a knight's costume before? This is freaking cool. But when I found out that it was actually the regional bird of the generation, basically the Pidgeot of Generation 8, I knew I had to have it on my team. Originally I thought since it was Steel Flying, it was going to be something like Skarmory, but this Pokemon is way better than Skarmory. In its shiny form, it keeps the blackness of the beard, and everything else becomes silver. It kind of looks like a lumberjack of some sort, and I really like the colors that they chose for the shiny for Corviknight. Also, its Gigantamax form is pretty freaking cool for just getting larger wings, and honestly, it's one of the best Gigantamax forms in my opinion. Number 3 is Colossal. Yet another Pokemon that can Gigantamax. Colossal is a pretty well designed Pokemon. I know I've been over expressing the phrase well designed, but as soon as I saw Colossal for the first time, I thought that they really did a good job on making a pile of rocks and flames a Pokemon. Colossal is rock fire type, and honestly that combination is one of the coolest and most badass combinations there has ever been in Pokemon. And its Gigantamax form basically becomes a volcano of that coal and fire, and it's kind of like erupting of tar, and honestly, that's one of the coolest things I've ever seen in a Gigantamax form. Definitely there in my top 5 favorite Gigantamax form. Number 2 is Toxtricity. Originally not a Pokemon I was planning to have on my team. Toxtricity is a pretty good looking Pokemon. I don't think I've met anybody that didn't have this Pokemon on its team, except for my one friend who decided to choose a bunch of Pokemon that weren't in Generation 8 on his team, which honestly I don't blame him. There are plenty of Pokemon that would work good on a Galar team. But when Toxel was revealed and Toxtricity was revealed as its evolution, I finally saw the mystery of what those statues that people were pointing out really were. They were both the high key and the low key forms of Toxtricity. Its shiny form isn't half bad either. They turned this purple Pokemon red, and honestly, pretty cool. The number 1 spot might be a little obvious to some of you old viewers. Sirfetch'd takes the number 1 spot on my list. When Sirfetch'd was revealed in September, I thought multiple things about this Pokemon. 1. Farfetch'd, after 20 years, is finally getting an evolution, which it almost got in Generation 2 in the beta form of the game. Honestly, I like the design they came up with Sirfetch'd in this game. It definitely beats the original planned Sirfetch'd design. Its shiny form was actually pretty cool, and pretty much underrated as people are attacking it, but the way that they turned it golden is actually kind of cool. I can understand why people would bash on Farfetch'd shiny though. It looks like shiny Garchomp has a new friend, as shiny Farfetch'd does not look that different from its regular form. The most creative thing about this Pokemon is how its leak that it has as a Farfetch'd becomes larger than it already was, and it splits into 2 to become a sword and a shield. But honestly, I believe that Sirfetch'd is a pretty intimidating Pokemon for what it is, and a well-deserving evolution of Farfetch'd. Well, that's gonna do it for me. If you guys enjoyed, please leave a like down below, and let me know what your favorite Pokemon of Generation 8 was. Well, until next time, this is Infernomen burning out, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.